Hey Ryan, since November is Banana Pudding Lovers Month, I thought you'd appreciate some.
Banana! Sweet fancy Moses! Thank you, Pamela. My gosh, it's so good. It's also Sweet Potato Awareness Month.
Oh yeah, I know. Did you know you'd have to eat 23 cups of broccoli to get the vitamin A you get in one sweet potato?
Good gravy. It's also Family Literacy Month. There's so many things happening in November. How are we going to decide what to cover on the show?
Well, it's also Aviation History Month.
So you're saying we should fly by the seat of our pants and figure it out?
Exactly. I'm Pamela Kirkland.
And I'm Ryan Willard. It's Wednesday, November 9th.
This is the 10 News.
10,
9,
8,
7, 6,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
I just realized. November 8th is National STEAM and STEM Day.
That's a great one. I'm so glad they added art into STEM.
What does that mean?
STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And STEAM learning increases kids' confidence, teamwork, and problem-solving skills. Plus, art is one of the greatest parts of life.
Like this self-portrait I painted of myself? I could put it in your office.
Oh, wait. I thought that was a Bigfoot painting.
No, that's me. But thank you for saying I look like Bigfoot.
Well, speaking of art, there have been a bunch of artifacts that have found their way home from foreign museums, from bronze sculptures to human skulls. 10 News correspondent Nathalie Alonso is here to tell us more about repatriated art and artifacts.
If you've ever been to an art museum in the United States or Europe, you've probably seen art from all over the world. Vases, statues, paintings, all kinds of masterpieces. Museums have different ways of acquiring art. They may buy works of art or get them as donations from private collectors. Unfortunately, some of the art on display in these museums doesn't belong there.
What?
That's because it was stolen from other countries during wars or when nations like Great Britain and France colonized large parts of Asia, Africa, and the Americas. In fact, a 2018 report estimated that as much as 90% of Africa's art and artifacts was on display in museums outside of Africa. For many years, no one really talked about this. But the Black Lives Matter movement got more people thinking about the long-lasting effects of racism and colonialism, not just in the United States, but all over the world. That has prompted some museums in the West to send these stolen objects back to their countries of origin.
Yes!
There is a word for this process. It's called repatriation.
What does that mean?
Here in New York City, where I live, the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Rubin Museum of Art have both agreed to send back sculptures to Nepal believed to have been stolen from the country's temples. The United States also sent back a tablet containing part of the poem The Epic of Gilgamesh that had been taken illegally from Iraq. And museums in both Great Britain and France have returned bronze statues to Nigeria that were removed by foreign soldiers back in the 19th century.
Way to go!
Repatriation of art is also happening within our own country. The University of Minnesota is returning artistic objects created by the ancient Mimbres people of the American Southwest to the Native American tribes that have ties to that culture. Returning art to where it belongs doesn't erase the damage done to these people and these cultures over centuries, but it is considered a step towards justice.
Thanks, Natalie. I hope even more museums return items to their rightful homes.
Election Day happened yesterday, but we wrote and recorded this episode before we found out the results. So stay tuned next week for our midterm recap.
Ooh, I got a good one. Veterans Day is this month, right?
Yeah. Have you ever served in the military, Ryan?
No. I am a scaredy cat who screams when a cockroach runs by me, but I really do appreciate what our veterans have done to serve and protect our country.
Well, since Veterans Day is November 11th, to honor past and current service members, we invited tenors to send in their thank you messages.
Hello, I am Marley Holt.
And I am Michael Holt. We are from Cumberland, Rhode Island.
We want to wish our dad a very happy Veterans Day.
Our dad was in the Army from 2002 until 2008.
And we are so proud of him.
Happy Veterans Day, Dad.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, veterans. To learn more about what it means to be a veteran, 10 News kid correspondent Owen asked his granddad 5 questions about his military service. Take it away, Owen.
Hey, Grandpa, what did you do in the military?
I did a lot of different things because I was in the Army and the reserves for 21 years. And while I was in the reserves, I became a commander of 2 units. After that, I was in a different type of unit. And the most interesting thing that I did then was I went to Germany in a NATO war game that was practicing to defend Europe from an all-out Russian attack. And that's interesting given what's going on today. And then I stayed in the reserves, and in January 1991, I got called to active duty in support of Operation Desert Storm. And I did that for about 4 months until the war ended, and then I came home. And the year after that, I retired from the Army.
Hey, Grandpa, what exactly are the reserves?
The reserves are people who have been trained in the Army and now are no longer in the Army every day, and they train part of the year, and they're ready in case there's a war or a national emergency to come back into the Army. And that's what I did when the Gulf War started.
What was the best and worst part of being in the military?
The best thing for me about being in the military was being part of a team. For me, it was like being on a baseball team.
Safe.
So that was the best thing. Because in the Army, everything is not just you. It's part of being part of a team, of doing whatever your mission is and carrying it out and working every day with people. The worst thing was, for example, when I got called up for active duty, not knowing what might happen to me and my family if something happened to me. So that was the worst thing.
Hey, Grandpa, why is Veterans Day important to you?
Veterans Day is important because everybody who serves in the military gives up part of their life to serve the country and to put their life and their job and their family at risk. And no matter what they did, everyone shared that. And we should honor the people who make that sacrifice.
Thanks, Owen, and thanks for your service, Grandpa Leeds.
Welcome to the trivia room.
Thanks, Tessa. I'm excited to be here. I kept asking my mom if I could do it.
I'm so glad you could swing by, Owen. Hop on up on the trivia throne for today's trivia question. You ready?
Absolutely.
What is going on here?
Trivia on the 10.
Okay, one of our big stories today was the return of museum artifacts. I love museums, and there's one I'm super excited to visit. It's called Treasures in the Trash, aka a museum of trash. But can you guess which U.S. city is home to this garbage museum? Is it A, Detroit, B, San Francisco, or C, New York City? Tenors, did you guess it? Owen, what's your answer?
I think it's B, San Francisco.
The answer is C. New York City is home to the Treasures in the Trash collection. NYC sanitation worker Nelson Molina gathered amazing objects that the people of New York were throwing away. Over his 34-year career, he rescued over 40,000 items, which now are displayed in a working sanitation garage in Harlem.
Wow, that's really cool.
Totally. You can even watch a short film about the collection at the link in our show notes. Tenors, do you want to sit on the trivia throne and share your trivia knowledge? Visit the10news.com/contact to get in touch, and we might have you on the show.
Okay, November seems a little more manageable now. So much going on and so much to celebrate.
Absolutely. But for now, it's time to wrap up the show. And here's a quick note for the grown-ups.
Before we get started today, we want to let you know about a new book series by one of our favorite podcast friends, But Why, a podcast for curious kids. But Why's podcast takes questions from curious kids just like you and finds the answers from experts. Their new book, Are Llamas Ticklish?, is a fun romp through the barnyard answering all of your questions like, why is milk white? And why do pigs have curly tails? And their second book, Do Fish Breathe Underwater?, answers all of your silly questions about the ocean. Why do pufferfish puff up? Why do lobsters pinch? And more. But Why's new book series is on sale now, and you can find out more at butwhykids.org/books. And check out But Why, a podcast for curious kids, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to the 10 News. Our show is now weekly and drops every Tuesday and Wednesday. But if you want some bonus content, you could join the Tenors Club on our website or on Apple Podcasts. Check out the website or our channel on Apple.
The 10 News is a co-production of Small But Mighty Media and Next Chapter Podcasts.
The 10 News creative team is painting their self-portraits and includes Tracy Crooks, Pete Musto, Logan DeYoung, and Tessa Flannery. Nathalie Alonso contributed to this episode.
Our production director is Jeremiah Tittle, and our executive producers are Donald Albright and show creator Tracy Leeds Kaplan.
I'm Ryan Willard.
And I'm Pamela Kirkland. Thanks for listening to the 10 News. Go thank a veteran.